What is up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Beyond the Junkyard podcast. I am your host, Junkyard James, and with me, as always, on these Thursday episodes is Cody Marinera. Hey, North Carolina has been it's basically Seattle, Washington the past couple days. Um, has it been as gloomy as it is where I in my neck of the woods?
Yes, it has been absolutely crazy. Um, but we're somehow making do with what we have over here. It's felt amazing.
Uh huh.
I will say that it has felt great. Um, besides the rain, it's been alright. But we're doing good over here, man. How are you doing?
I am. I'm doing all right. I can't wait for this episode. This is actually going to be, I think, a pretty good episode. And yeah, but let's just jump right into some of this housekeeping stuff. As always, the four things I need you to do if you're watching the live stream: hit that thumbs up button, comment in the chat, join us there. Share this video with all of your wrestling friends. If you have a WWE fan, I'm gonna ask you to share this video in particular with all of your WWE friends. But also hit that subscribe button, push that notification bell. That way you can get notified every time we go live or post an episode. Or a video or a short or whatever we may post. So we do that there. If you're listening afterwards, not live, but on the audio only version of the show, I would appreciate it if you could give us a 5-star review. Just pretend you're Dave Meltzer and we're Will Ospreay in the Tokyo Dome. And give us that 5-star review. Let everybody know that this is the best wrestling podcast that nobody knows about. And make more people know about us. Give us that 5-star review. Push the algorithm. We got to give a huge shout out to our sponsors. That's W Energy, WWE Shop, RSS.com, and StubHub. Will have more on some of those later on in the show. But it's that time of day where we jump into week number 2 of doing this or that. It is day 1 of the NFL's preseason. So I thought it would be a perfect occasion for us, obviously, if there's something that we both love, maybe a little less than or equal to pro wrestling, it's pro football. And let's do an NFL version of this or that. We have a couple different versions of this. So some of these options may be one player or over the other. It may be one team over another team who you may think is the better team. And then the last one, I pit together two of who I thought were some of the most passionate fan bases in the NFL. And we're going to say who we think is the better of the fan bases. So let's get going with a big one. Here we go. Let's pull it up on the screen. We got Peyton Manning or Tom Brady.
If you had asked me this question about 10 to 12 years ago, I would have chosen Peyton Manning all day. Fast forward 10 years, Tom Brady's the GOAT, man. I'm trusting that man with everything in my life to go down to get me a game-winning touchdown. Going to have to go with Tom Brady on this one.
Yeah, I guess I'll go with Tom Brady as well. This is a tough one for me because I think overall Tom Brady, he's probably going to go down as the best quarterback to ever play, just based off stats and all of that all those other metrics. I think though Peyton Manning is, from a physical spectrum, he might be a little bit better, but Tom Brady has all of the accolades to back up his game. This was the quarterback rivalry of my childhood. This is almost like the Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes of current day. So I mean, both quarterbacks are probably some of the better quarterbacks, but yeah, I guess we'll go Tom Brady on this one, even though it hurts me to say that because I hate Tom Brady. I just can't stand the man, but he is the better quarterback. All righty, let's move on to the running back position. CJ2K, Chris Johnson, or Saquon Barkley?
Well, a biased person would easily say CJ2K, but I'm a non-biased type of guy, and I know how much Saquon Barkley means to a team when all they need to do is just hand that boy the ball, and he can carve up a defense for almost 200 yards and like 4 touchdowns in a big-time game. Whenever that man steps on the field, I just my butthole puckers because I know that he's about to pull off an 80-yard touchdown like he usually does against us. So as much as it hurts to say, I'm about to go with Saquon Barkley.
Saquon Barkley is a really good player. Probably the best running back in the league right now. But I don't want people's recency bias to forget about how freaking good Chris Johnson actually was for a period of like 2 or 3 years. It was a very short period of time that he was in his prime and before all of his injury and I guess whatever issues that they had. But if Chris Johnson could have been a more longevity type player, I think he's the better running back. But because of longevity's sake, I would say Saquon is the better guy in terms of all of the other metrics. But let's not forget how good Chris Johnson was. There's a reason they called him CJ2K because he was hitting 2,000 yards almost, every season. And so Chris Johnson, I mean, legend in my opinion. I always loved playing as the Tennessee Titans in Madden, not because of their quarterback, which was Kerry Collins in that video game, but Chris Johnson got the ball 100 times when I played as the Titans and when he played. All right, let's talk about wide receivers because we got Terrell Owens and Amon-Ra St. Brown.
I mean, I got to go T.O., man. Amon-Ra is a really good player, don't get me wrong, but I mean, he's still really young in his career that I can't fairly say that he's better than T.O. I think he's a stud, but going over the course of T.O.'s history, man, that man can change the game as well. So yeah, give me T.O. on this one.
I think I'm picking Amon-Ra on this one. Because I think on the field they're just about equal. Like you said, Amon-Ra's younger in his career. He doesn't have the full career to look back on. And T.O., he was really good. I think where I go here is Amon-Ra is. I know with Amon-Ra you're not going to have the off the field issues or controversy or the like T.O. was he was one of the first modern day diva wide receivers. He was like Stephon Diggs on steroids. And I'm not a big fan of those type of players who like to, do all that mess. So I think I'm going to pick Amon-Ra because I know what I'm getting on the field and I know he isn't going to do anything stupid off the field to put negative press towards my franchise. And then we're going to go to the tight end position here. Rob Gronkowski or Travis Kelce?
That's a good one. That's a tough one.
Well, you think? Let me give my thoughts on this one. I'm going Gronkowski. And part of it, like I can't be biased as a Bills fan because Gronk torched us, and Travis Kelce torches us on in the playoffs. But I'm going Gronk because Travis Kelce isn't even the best tight end in Kansas City Chiefs history. I'm gonna put Tony Gonzalez on top of Travis Kelce because Tony Gonzalez put up Hall of Fame level numbers in Kansas City with Trent Green as his starting quarterback. Imagine if he had Patrick Mahomes, what he would have done. Gronkowski, to me, is a better football player, and Travis Kelce. You've seen Travis Kelce the last couple of years. If he's starting his decline in his career, and it may be around focused on some off the field stuff that he got himself into. But give me Gronk.
You know what? I think I would choose Gronk as well. I think he could go to different teams and really perform. You put him on the field and he's instantly a scary threat. Whereas Travis, it seems like he's been able to be locked down here recently and hasn't had that same get off and hasn't been able to create separation like he used to and shield his body to be able to make these catches. And Gronk has always been able to do that. So yeah, I think that I would definitely have to choose Gronk for sure.
All right, and then the last one of the position players, we're going to defense. And I didn't want to do every defensive position because we'd be here all day. So I just chose 2 defensive players. It didn't matter position. I think they play the same position, though, ironically. We got Micah Parsons or Lawrence Taylor. As a Washington fan, both of these players give you nightmares.
Yeah. Yeah. I would have to say LT. He single-handedly broke Joe Theismann's career in half. And, but hey, I mean, he did that and he immediately signaled for the medical team to come over. They knew that it was pretty bad. So I give LT the props for that. But, man, he was – anytime you saw 56 on the field, I didn't grow up in this era, but just looking back at some old NFL films and documentaries and games and interviews and all that stuff, people would just be like, anytime you saw 56 on the field, you needed 3 guys to block him because the dude was just a menace. Absolute sack machine, quarterback terrorizer. He can stuff the run too. The man was just a man possessed on the field. So Micah's a great player. Don't get me wrong. I think he's going to be an all pros, all pro. I think he'll be a force to be reckoned with in the league for a while. He may climb up to LT status. I think it's a little too early to say that, but I think he's on his way if he can just stay healthy and stay productive. Terry McLaurin for Micah Parsons, straight up, I say yes. That's just me. Just kidding, kind of. Yeah, Micah's a good player, but I don't think he's there yet. But LT scares me.
Yeah, so the one thing you noticed about Lawrence Taylor, and again, we didn't grow up in his era, but you can watch his tape, is he gave 100% effort on every single play that he was on the field. Whereas with Micah Parsons, especially the last year or two, maybe last year was due to some of this same stuff that we're dealing with now with his contract and wanting to get the extension and stuff. He kind of just gave up sometimes. Like there were plays where you just didn't know where number 11 was on the field. He went non-existent. I got to go Lawrence Taylor just because I think from an effort perspective, he always gave 100% effort, and I can't say the same thing with Micah Parsons. I think Micah is a a threat, and people obviously, I mean, I would take Micah Parsons on the Buffalo Bills. James Cook and a couple first rounders might be able to do that, right? But I would I would take Micah Parsons on the Bills, but he's a really good player and would instantly be the best defensive player on a lot of teams' defenses. I just worry sometimes about his effort. Like sometimes he just vanishes and doesn't, play through the whistle. And with Lawrence Taylor, you knew what you were getting. The next couple we're going to do are just going to be their teams. So whether or not you want to judge this based off who is the better team or who's your favorite team or however, you can decide however you want. Let's get into this. The Oakland Raiders or the Tennessee Titans?
So here's the thing. I don't have any beef with the Tennessee Titans. I really don't. I don't have any beef with them. They've never done anything bad to my team. They've never done bad with me or anything like that. I hate the name Jack Squirek. I hate the name Derek Jensen because they single-handedly killed any chance that we had of going back-to-back and winning Super Bowl 27 and 28. The 1983 Los Angeles Raiders beat the Redskins 38-9 in Super Bowl 28. And if it wasn't for Jack Squirek and Derek Jensen, we may have 4 Super Bowls in back-to-back versus 3. So for that reason, I'm going to go with the Tennessee Titans.
So first off, I should say the Las Vegas Raiders. I picked a very old picture, apparently.
I said Los Angeles. It's Oakland. They're Vegas. It's whatever.
The West Coast Raiders. Let's just call them that.
That's it. I like that better.
I'm picking Tennessee as well. One, because their stadium is great. I went there. I left my cup there because they beat the Bills when I went to that stadium. I like the Titans. Obviously, they're closer to North Carolina but from an actual perspective of like the upcoming season, I really think the Titans are a better team than the Raiders are. We got old ass Pete Carroll coaching the Raiders this year, and then we got the fresh young guys in Tennessee. Tennessee did a lot of work in the offseason. I'm gonna pick Tennessee overall as a franchise, and I think they have a better year than the Raiders this year. Hot take: the Titans win that division this year. Let's move on to the next one. All righty, number 7. We got the Carolina Panthers or the Minnesota Vikings.
Well, I watched my team absolutely destroy the Panthers in 2024, so that was a great day for me. Even though they injured Jaden Daniels, so I didn't like that.
But let me play devil's advocate. You also saw the Panthers come in on your birthday in Monday Night Football.
That's a good point. Fuck the Panthers. I'm picking the Vikings. Yep, that's all. That's all need to be said. Yep.
There you go. I'm picking the Panthers. From the perspective of I think they have a brighter future than Minnesota. Minnesota fans, like, you had a great year last year, but I think it was an anomaly of a season where Sam Darnold somehow decided to be one of the top 10 quarterbacks in the league. Minnesota has this issue of they have a guy coming off an injury that's never played in the NFL, being their starting quarterback. I think the Panthers did a lot to build that team. They have a loaded wide receiver room and a weapon that nobody seemed to remember in Hunter Renfrow. But yeah, so give me Carolina. I got to pick the hometown boys again. Another hot take. The Carolina Panthers are winning the NFC South this season.
I don't know if we win the division, but I do have them going to the playoffs, so that's as far as I'll go.
Alrighty. And then we got one final this or that this week before we get into the wrestling business. It's a wrestling show, and this is meant to be wrestling, but let's have some fun, why don't we? Which fan base is the better fan base? Are you ready?
I'm scared.
The Bills Mafia? Flaming tables, squirting ketchup and mustard, drinking beers and getting drunk before the stadium even opens, falling into a pit where your new stadium eventually was going to be built? Or is it Steeler Nation?
Hmm. I think they're both as equally annoying. Especially when I heard that damn song 50,000 times through 2 years ago.
Oh yeah, when they took over that stadium.
Whatever.
You still had a beef with that guy that was smacked you in the face.
Mother gave me a damn concussion. Jesus Christ! I mean, it's one touchdown. Calm down. Hey, but I did see the Redskins beat the Bills in 2015, so I had to let you have your moment. I'm gonna have to go. I'm gonna have to go with Bills Mafia, and the reason is, as much as they're annoying, for a team that has never won a Super Bowl, they do remain loyal. When they had Tyrod Taylor and their team was 5-7 in a blizzard, they got volunteers to shovel the snow out of the stands, and I don't want to say pack the stadium full, but there was a lot more people than I thought there would be. Steeler Nation is very entitled, and granted, your Super Bowl rings give you the opportunity to do that. But I'll be honest with you, I don't see the 49ers fans doing the same thing the Steelers fans do. And the 49ers have their own rings as well, and can definitely flaunt and taunt if they really wanted to. Mm-hmm. They do have some annoying fans, the Niners do, but I feel they're not as annoying as Steeler Nation. So with that being said, I think because of the fact that with the team with no Super Bowls has still supported, showed up, showed out, stay loyal, stay true to their team, except for you, James, but that's fine. Go Bills Mafia. Love you.
All right. So down here in the Carolinas, loyalty to a sports team goes all about as far as like until your team
Tar Heels Duke.
Yeah, about that's the only teams that they're loyal to. Like their pro teams, like when the Carolina Hurricanes are like 20 games below 500, there ain't no Carolina Hurricanes fan. But when they're in the playoffs every year, they're loud and obnoxious and one of the better fan bases. When Charlotte FC debuted, they broke the record for largest attendance, and now they can't even get half that stadium filled, unless it's like some special occasion. When the Panthers play and they do okay, they might pack the stadium, but when they suck, my boss said he went to the Chiefs Panthers game last year, and it was 90% Chiefs fans. So my point is, we don't know what loyalty is. Both of these fan bases, I think, are pretty loyal to their team. I think the Steelers, the Steelers are a little spoiled because they haven't had a losing season in quite some time. They've only had 3 coaches in the last 60 years. Mike Tomlin hasn't had a losing season ever. And then you look at the Bills, though. They've gone through a bunch of trials, 4 straight Super Bowl losses, so much pain, 17 years without going to the playoffs, and yet they persevered and they packed that stadium out. So not because I have a big Buffalo Bills flag hanging on my wall, I'm gonna pick the Bills Mafia. Alrighty, let's jump into some pro wrestling, because this is a wrestling podcast after all. That segment went a little long because we don't have a whole lot to talk about. Typically at this point we would jump into our mid-card meltdown, but if you look at the title of this episode, this show this week is going to legitimately probably be just one big meltdown, because I have the belief that the past week for WWE might have been one of their worst PR weeks in all of their company's history. And I don't know if you agree with me or not, but it's just been fuck up after fuck up with the fans on social media, and they're not getting a good reaction. And I think we'll see how the Raw after SummerSlam numbers do when they release those numbers on Monday next week, because they release them after 7 days. And but the past 2 weeks they've been consistent, 2.7 million views over a 7-day period around the entire globe for Monday Night Raw on Netflix. We'll see if there was any significant drop off with the Netflix numbers on Monday next week. But I think we saw a major shift and fans giving AEW an opportunity because of how bad this week was, because the numbers for Dynamite came out, and it's not like there was anything super spectacular that would make the numbers be the second best number that they've had in almost a year, period. And the fact that their numbers jumped up 99,000 average viewers over a week period. Like, to me, I call that the Brock Lesnar effect. And we're not going to spend a whole lot of time talking about Brock Lesnar tonight. At least I don't plan on it. I plan on doing a whole lot more on the Saturday episode, solo show. But like a 16% increase in average viewers, a 20% jump in the key demo, and it's, I don't know. You got to think it's just this massive PR stunt. 711,000 viewers last night. And I haven't seen the quarterlies. I don't think those have been released yet, but you got to imagine some numbers probably above 800,000 in some places. Do you account that as just new fans trying out the product, or people that are just saying, I've had enough with WWE. We got a lot to talk about. Any quick thoughts before we jump into some of the big issues?
Yeah, I think it's people that are tired of whatever's going on the WWE side of things, and they're either coming back to give AEW a chance, or have said, why not? Let me just try AEW and see what it's like.
Right.
I think that for the most part, the people that if people came back, the people who have watched AEW before and either fell out after the whole Punk and Tony Khan debacle and the whole bad rap AEW got, and followed Punk and went with WWE after that. And I think most of the people that, if they just tuned in again, or the 99,000 increase, I would say that most of those are returning fans who have watched before, but are giving it more of an opportunity now because of what's going on WWE side of things.
Right. All right, so I don't know where you want to begin, but there's been a whole lot. Let's start with this ESPN deal, and then the whole the whole idea that man, to be a fan of WWE starting in 2026, like you might need 2 jobs to be able to afford to be a fan of WWE. And it's not just the WWE that I want to call these shots out. I think this is pro sports in general now, where like to be an NFL fan this year, to watch, all of the games that you want to be able to watch in the NFL, it's going to cost you like $1,000. Now you have to add on basically an equal cost to be a WWE fan, to get, a YouTube TV, and then to buy the $30 ESPN subscription, and to buy Peacock, and to buy Netflix, and to buy whatever else you got to buy. And it's crazy because when uh, there's been this trend in the WWE that they were outpricing some of their lower um, socioeconomic fans, like people without, a whole big wad of money that they could spend on tickets to watch in person, but they always had that outlet that they could just watch from home, and it's almost just as expensive now to watch the weekly show at home than it will be to buy tickets in the stands. And so I don't get WWE's marketing the product this way, as if like, I don't know. To me, it doesn't seem very customer centric. What are your thoughts on the whole ESPN? Like, obviously, from the WWE side, from the business perspective, it's a really big deal. They're making like double the amount of money Peacock offered them over 5 years, and so they make a lot of money off of it. But it seems like that's all that matters to them. The fans don't necessarily matter.
Yeah, it's all a money game for them. How much money can they make? And it's mainly because of their boss, TKO. They no longer own the company. WWE no longer owns itself. It's now being owned by a higher power, so to speak. It's as if Ted Turner bought the company and AOL Time Warner bought the company. It's just catering to the masses, and the masses are TKO. And whatever they say, go. However, they can get the most money, they will. And I think that while Paul Levesque may have the ultimate creative decision in the back, he's being fed those by TKO, by The Rock, by other people. He's being, they're being influenced because they have no choice. They literally, if TKO right now said, hey, men fences with Travis Scott, make him the world champion.
Right.
I'm sure Triple H will not like that. He will hate it, but he would have to do it if he really wanted. If he really wanted to keep a job, and just cater to the masses, he's gonna have to do it. And so I think that unfortunately WWE has their hands tied, and
right.
It's all about what the bosses want: sponsorship money, deals, how much tickets can we sell, how much merch can we sell, how much money can we print, basically.
Yeah, no, it's a big money game for, and obviously TKO's at the helm, and like, so I call WrestleMania no longer the showcase of the immortals; it's the showcase of the investors. But I mean, what we saw this past weekend at SummerSlam, like, it wasn't good pro wrestling. Like, to me, I can't imagine as the WWE saying, you used to be able to watch these pay-per-views for, what was it, $7.99 or now $10.99 for Peacock, because they just announced that they're raising their prices. For $10.99 a month, you can watch all of the PLEs, and they were, the cost was cheap, so some of the fans could justify buying it for the lack of in-ring work that you got on the PLEs, because legitimately we had 97 minutes out of a 3.5-hour Saturday show full of wrestling. I can't seemingly justify paying $30 a month and getting more than half of my show full of advertisements. I don't know how WWE can justify it. So unless they go to a viewership model where their PLEs are going to be more in-ring centric, I don't know how they can justify the price range. But to go back to an earlier point real quick, TKO did the same thing with UFC when they went to ESPN. And now you got to pay for the full $69 pay-per-view or whatever and have an ESPN Plus account for the UFC events. And so, someone mentioned it on a Facebook post I saw that it wouldn't surprise them if WWE instituted like microtransactions. So like if you wanted to watch an episode of an old classic show, you gotta, $3 here, $3 there to watch some of these other events, because anything to get money. And it goes back to, I think the big thing is WWE isn't making as much money as people want to claim that they're making. That these big TV deals are great, but they're not profitable. Like they're the ugly stepchild to TKO, the place where TKO can put all of their debt into pro wrestling, and then it's going to be the first thing they cut. It almost seems to me like this might be WCW round 2.
Yeah, that's an interesting point that you bring up, because I literally was going to say how the past few months of WWE is closely resembling WCW 2000 to a certain point. I don't want to say it's an exact duplicate copy, but we're getting there. They're now catering to a higher power, which Eric Bischoff and WCW did cater to a higher power. Originally, it was Ted Turner, and then eventually it was AOL Time Warner. The heads of those people. I think that when you look at just in general, how badly WWE has just fucked up Cena's 17th title reign.
Mm-hmm.
It's supposed to be celebrated, and if we weren't going to celebrate it to that effect because he was turning heel, give me the best heel Cena you can possibly think of. He literally gave an interview a few months, maybe a few weeks prior to his heel turn, about the planned heel turn of 2012 and how no more Make-A-Wishes, no more new merchandise, different theme songs, different attire.
Yep.
Why didn't we get any of that? We still got the same music, same outfits, same promos pretty much. A little bit different. I'm going to kill wrestling. Wrestling's dead. Whatever. Merchandise sales. I'm sure he still did Make-A-Wishes. Nothing changed, really. It was just bland down Cena. Obviously, Travis Scott and The Rock's bullshit. And this is 2 years in a row now. The Rock has inserted himself into a main picture going to WrestleMania, and we got nothing good in return for it.
Right.
He implemented himself with WrestleMania 40 and the whole Cody bullshit, and had to have a match tonight at 1. And Seth Rollins got pulled into that match for absolutely no reason. Still, I have no reason why he was a part of it. Thank God Seth Rollins is out of that, and he's back to being the main event guy like he should be. But, I mean, Seth pretty much, just got thrown in there for no reason. And then we get the bullshit from this year where Rock implemented himself in Elimination Chamber. Got no payoff from it. Absolutely no payoff. I mean, I don't need a match to have that. I don't. Same thing with the Cody and the Rock thing. I don't need a match to settle that. Give me a finality of some sort. Give me a slap to the face, put through a table, written off TV. Give me something. You can't just stop that. But the problem is either Dwayne's forcing himself into it or TKO is forcing him into it. And either way, they've now gotten fucked over twice from The Rock, and they've gotten fucked over from a big celebrity in Travis Scott.
Mm-hmm.
But
I wonder if again that comes to something that I posted on Twitter the other day, that WWE isn't. I don't think they necessarily are looking from a long-term storytelling position. Because to me, it's almost is resemblant of like Crash style booking, where they're trying to get a viral moment that is talked about a lot and gets a lot of social media clicks. And so you look at SummerSlam night 1 and night 2, they both ended with some type of swerve that night one, obviously everybody knew Seth was cashing in. Like they can paint it off as it was some big surprise. Meltzer had talked about it being a fake injury for like 3 weeks, so he was obviously right. And then the whole Brock thing, like they're looking for something to see if it would stick and get a lot of social media impressions. And it's great that like they have those moments. But when you looked at AEW, they have legitimate stories that you can look back on, and like with Swerve and Hangman, they don't just have a good moment or a good match. They have a year-long beef that you can look back to and say, this storyline was very appealing. And then even in 5 years from now, if Hangman and Swerve are still in the company, which I would assume both of them would be, they may bring it back up at some point in time. And so to me, it seems like WWE is going into that direction of they don't necessarily need to pay off every story every single time, as long as I can get that big viral moment.
Yeah, and this was a great tweet that I saw about 4 days ago from a person on Twitter at SkyTel Wrestling that I thought accurately depicts what's going on. In the last month, WWE has worked the locker room in an effort to swerve the fans, i.e. the Seth Rollins thing, explained away a storyline through breaking the idea of kayfabe and acknowledging creative, the Unreal thing and the whole John Cena breaking that whole thing up. And then we've got a featured celebrity in a high-profile tag match, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. I understand why they have it. There's been celebrity involvement in wrestling since the dawn of time. I'm not mad at that at all. I thought it was fine. Jelly Roll did a very, very good job in the ring. I'm kind of glad that they actually lost, Orton and Jelly Roll. Usually the celebrities get the one over, so I'm kind of glad that he lost. A little bit of a change things up a little bit. But you look at all that, and man, that's WCW 2000. Yep. That's WCW 2000. Yeah, of course, we haven't had a celebrity win the world title, so let's not go, like I said, let's not directly compare it. But those little things are very close similarities to how bad the business was for WCW in 2000. But like I said, I fear that TKO is just calling the shots. I think the powers that be are TKO. They're telling Triple H what to do, and he can't do anything about it. It's exactly what happened to Eric Bischoff and the whole Time Warner AOL stuff in the fall of 1998, when he got thrown into a meeting with execs, and they said, this is how we want Nitro and Thunder to be on our stations. And he's like, you have no idea what you're talking about. You've never been in wrestling. You don't know how to write a wrestling show. What are you telling me to do with my company? Eric, it's not your company. It's our company. Right. We own WCW. So you're going to do what we want you to do. And I feel that's what TKO is doing with Triple H right now, is they're telling him what to do. Right. And he can't do anything about it. He's got his hands tied because you're either out of a multi-million-dollar job, end up like Vince, you get kicked to the can, although Vince is okay for himself, having the $billions he does. But I mean, looking back at it now, I almost feel like Vince did this on purpose, because if he wasn't going to be able to kill his creation, he was going to sell it, make the most money out of it he could, and let that thing start sinking down the Titanic. Because like you said, WWE right now is a cash cow, has been a cash cow for about the last 2.5 years. But once it stops doing that, stops printing the money like they want to, the creative sucks so bad that people just aren't watching, people aren't coming to the shows. TKO is going to quickly notice that, and are going to try to sell that thing off as quickly as they can for as much as they can, and WWE is going to be left on their own. Sure, can they survive? Sure. Nobody thinks that the big empire will fall. I'm not hoping it does. I really don't want it to do it. WWE is the standard bearer for wrestling as far as the entertainment value, and when WWE does okay, other businesses do good. When WWE doesn't do so good, sometimes it gives other companies a chance to do better, but regardless, you need the WWE name around. But WWE's in a bad spot, man. I think they're in a bad spot, because if they don't do the houses that they want, like UFC continues to do, if they don't start pulling in some of the numbers as far as the viewership goes, like UFC has done, and like WWE has done in the past, TKO has a much easier out and a much easier way to get out than WWE. WWE has their hands tied. They can't do anything about it. I mean, case in example, I don't know who's booking WWE shows, but they need to stop oversaturating the same market over and over again. And we believe me and you have preached the fact that AEW is oversaturated Chicago, and absolutely they have. They need to stop it. And they're doing the same thing with Prudential Center in Newark. They've done a bunch of Dynamites. They've done now 2 pay-per-views in a row, 3 out of the last 4 years pay-per-views. They've hosted one in New Jersey at Prudential Center. For example, Raw's going to Philadelphia, Wells Fargo Center, home of the 76ers and the Flyers, in a couple weeks. 2 weeks. Less than 2 weeks. And they've only sold 7,000 tickets. Last time they were there was for SmackDown. They drew 16,000 in March. Why are we going back to the same place 5 months later? You're killing the market. And when your cheapest standard admission ticket is $100,
right,
there's not a chance I'm going to watch that. You're pricing out people. Nobody's going to want to watch wrestling for $100 to sit in the nosebleeds.
Right. And to get a seat to where you don't need an oxygen mask after you climb up to the rafters, it's going to cost you, half a paycheck just for one ticket. And AEW is guilty of it at some of their pay-per-views at overpricing the market. And so let's not act like AEW doesn't do it. They do it on a lesser scale. Most of the time you can get a pretty decent seat at an AEW event, again, because they go to these smaller arenas for $25-$30. WWE isn't the only company that's pricing out their market. You look at NFL tickets, you look at, all of these other places. Yeah, the ticket prices are expensive all over the place. But the problem is WWE, this just kind of happened really quickly. Like 5 years ago, tickets for the NFL were still $200. Like, they haven't jumped that much over time. WWE tickets used to be cheap, and now they're really expensive. And it's because they have this change in mindset. The fact that in 2017, I think the WWE network was still around in 2017, if I can remember correctly.
I believe so, yeah.
You could watch every wrestling show, every Vault Classic, every pay-per-view for $120 a year. And now you have to pay $1,200 to watch everything that you could have watched. They're raising their prices tenfold over a 7-year period of time.
And you don't even get every episode of every show.
Right.
Because you can pay for Netflix, and they don't have every episode of Raw on there. They don't have every single episode. They have only like 5 or 6 full seasons, and that's sporadic of a few others.
Right.
Why am I going to pay? I pay $7 for Netflix because I just like having Netflix. It's a perk that WWE Raw is on, and I can watch it, the live versions of it, or if I can go back and watch the most recent episode, that's fine. But if you don't even have the entire library, what's the point of having any of the streaming services if you can't watch every episode?
Right. So to get the library, I think most of the library is on Peacock. So you have to
use
Peacock.
Yep.
Yeah. So, and then the fact of the matter is we're just talking about the U.S. market, right? So a lot of these casual fans are like, the U.S. market matters the most. Then why are you outspending the U.S. market when I can buy a VPN and use the international feed, and all I have to get is Netflix, and I can get everything I want on Netflix and the international?
100%. Now pull up that comment about you can only go where stadiums are available. Pull up that. That's the absolute dumbest fucking argument I've ever heard from a Fed stand, because you are the main event in town. You can book any damn arena you want to, especially in the summertime when there's no basketball going on, there's no hockey going on, and you have to run the same venue twice in 5 months. What, are you afraid of losing that market? Because you're going to Philly. I'm not saying they did it because AEW is going to Philly, although I'm not going to be surprised about it because they went in March.
That's exactly why they're going to Philly, because they tried to book 2300 Arena, and we took the residency there, so they had to go somewhere else.
It may be business, but when your business goes down, then what are you going to do? Cut costs because you can't make it up. Right. When you're outpricing people for the ESPN thing, and they're not going to pay $30 to watch PLEs unless it's just going to be $30 for a month. If you're a sports fan, you're probably going to do it. But if you're just wanting to watch wrestling, you're probably not going to get it.
Right. So for the sports fans, this is a no-brainer because you can use the ESPN app that they're going to, the new streaming app, year round for football and basketball and all the 4,700 other things that they're going to have on that app. It makes sense from a fan of other sports. But from a wrestling perspective, for the people that don't care about basketball or football or anything else, they're getting a raw end of the deal because all they want to do is watch pro wrestling. And now they got to go to 700 different places to get all of their content. And it's like these are the same people that are justifying this. When AEW Dark was on YouTube for free, they were like, well, I don't like having to go to YouTube to watch this and then have to go to this channel to watch this and then have to go to this to watch it. And I don't like watching BTE to learn the storyline, but yet you're willing to go to 7 different streaming sources to get all of your other. You're willing to go on X and watch WWE Speed. That was until they canceled it because nobody actually gave a shit about it. So this is what we're talking about.
We move the goalposts. We always move the goalposts. And again, it's hard to not be a tribalist, but when things like this are showing up in to where as a consumer,
right,
it just doesn't. It's not feasible. It's not feasible. And I mean, go back to again. Raw didn't even sell out this past Monday. The Raw after SummerSlam, the Raw after Seth Rollins cashed in the Money in the Bank, and after Cody beats Cena, which I know they both weren't advertised on the show. Maybe that's why it didn't sell out. I don't know. But they hadn't been back to Barclays Center since October of last year, and they sold 1,000 tickets less. 1,000 tickets less. That may not be a whole lot, but 1,000 tickets less after just having 130,000 people at MetLife Stadium for 2 nights. And you had a cash in. You had 2 new world champions. And you still couldn't sell out the show?
Right.
I'm not saying that's all of a sudden WWE's going down, they're going to be out of business. That's not at all what I'm getting at. But the fact that you couldn't even outsell a show from almost a year ago in that same building after coming off of a very crazy weekend where you had 2 new world champions, that should cause some sort of wave of momentum of some sort. You had Roman Reigns on the show, LA Knight, Seth Rollins, and he still couldn't sell it out.
Right.
That's
and
a problem.
You look on AEW side, we're 40 something days away from All Out. And I get it, it's a difference between Chicago and Toronto, but those are 2 very similar markets in terms of wrestling. They've already sold more tickets than last year for All Out. And we're still a month away from the show. We look at O2 Arena. I'm pretty sure that'll be packed to the rafters because the British fans don't get a whole lot of live wrestling there. They're doing their first ever Dynamite overseas in Scotland later this month, and the ticket sales there have been really good. The point we're trying to make here is I think the reason AEW is being seen in a more favorable marketplace or place in the market in the business than WWE at this point is because AEW is customer centric. They're consumer centric. They want to make sure that the people that watch the show get the most value out of the money that they're spending. I'm totally content buying a $50 pay-per-view. Though, look, Tony Khan, if you wanted to put all of the pay-per-views on HBO Max, I would not complain. I would love to save the money, but I'm not going to complain about having to spend $50 on a pay-per-view that I know I'm going to get my money's worth. I'm okay buying New Japan World because I know I get the content that I come to pay, the $9 a month or whatever it is. It's not necessarily the money that we want to spend. It's the fact that the price is going up, but the customer value that WWE is going to give people isn't going up. In fact, in some cases, it's going down. There's more advertising than anything going on. At some point, you got to start to wonder if WWE should just rebrand and stop being called World Wrestling Entertainment and literally just call themselves like World Sports Entertainment. because I think that would be fine. But the sit there and say that this is wrestling when it's not. It's not wrestling, and the way that a lot of fans want to see pro wrestling, like the Attitude Era wasn't great in terms of like a lot of their in ring work, but it's bar none better than what we're getting now out of WWE.
Yeah, I I just think that at the end of the day, while it's not, I'm, it may seem like we're being biased and being tribalist, and maybe to a certain point we are because I want AEW to just be successful,
Right.
and I don't mean successful as I want them to kill WWE and be the number one
Right.
company in the world and destroy it. I don't want that at all. I just
Right.
want to, in some ways, competitive but truly alternate programs to be on high profile networks where more wrestlers can get a chance to be on TV and for more opportunities for fans to just enjoy what they want to enjoy.
Right.
And to not try to squash and kill the other product, which is what
Right.
WWE and maybe even TKO is trying to do with
Right.
AEW, booking every single place that they're trying to go to in the bigger market, bigger arenas,
Right.
uh, booking dates on the same days as them, just like with World's End being on December 27th on a Saturday. 100%, I can see that happening with Cena's last match being on December 27th
Mm-hmm.
in Boston on a PLE or Saturday Night's Main Event.
Yep.
It's going to happen. There's no way they're going to do a dark match. There's no way they're going to do something on Raw, do something on SmackDown. It's going to be on that weekend. And if it's not the 27th, it'll probably be the 28th. But book it already. AEW's already set their final pay-per-views for the 2025 year out. They've already booked them out. Survivor Series has already been booked. As far as I know, WWE doesn't have a December pay-per-view or PLE lined up or Saturday Night's Main Event lined up.
Nope.
AEW has already announced World's End. So anything that happens after that, to me, is showing the fact that they just feel they have to counter program like that
Right.
because they can't help themselves. And
Right. Well,
that's ridiculous.
Yeah. To me, like even if you look at what like WWE or TKO, their view of what AAA or TNA is going to be, like I hope AAA and TNA thrive under their partnerships with WWE, but I'm skeptical, and I always get bitched at as that I hate WWE because I'm skeptical of their partner, the way they run partnerships. But the fact is, you look at their partnership with the European scene before COVID, and they destroyed British wrestling for a good while, because of NXT UK, and the fact that is like what Triple Mania is going to be broadcasted for free on YouTube. That's all fine and dandy, but like, what value does AAA bring to TKO other than the fact that now they have another brand that they can use for their up and coming talent? It's more of a development program, and you look at AAA's starred history of what it used to be, and now it's just a development program for WWE. TNA has had its ups and downs, but it's now a development program for WWE. It's like they don't care about the past. They don't care about the all they care about is money. All they care about is advertising. All they care about is how can we become more profitable, and it comes at it makes them seem as if they really don't care what the fans think. They really don't care how the fans feel. They're going to do whatever they feel makes them the most money, even at the extent of losing 10% of their audience. Because to them, losing 10% of their audience isn't that big of a deal.
Well, first of all, the comment above that one about the WWE lives rent free in my head. Bitch, WWE is the biggest sport in town, biggest market in town. Of course, they're going to be in the head. I'm still going to watch most of the PLEs because I like wrestling. I love wrestling. I'm going to watch it. I don't watch Raw or SmackDown because it doesn't draw my attention enough. I try to watch Raw this week, turn on after the main or before the main event because I couldn't get into it. There's nothing for me to sink my teeth into. I give it a chance, and if I don't like it, I turn it off. I didn't just go on here for 20 minutes and complain how good or bad Raw was. I'm
Right.
talking about WWE as a whole. The biggest name in town. They're going to be talked about, obviously. And I didn't mention AEW and wanted them to succeed, but I only mentioned for 2 minutes because if I had talked to them about for 5 minutes, you call me a homer and call me an AEW stan. So, I mean, which is it? That's moving the goalposts again. But I do
Yep.
believe that you'll have no problem calling out AEW whenever they do something bad, or in
Right.
general, just talking about the stars going from WWE to AEW or AEW to WWE. So the same way WWE may live rent free in my head, AEW is living rent free in your head. So you
Right.
may disagree with that, but that's the truth as well. Um, but I'm making a bold prediction right now that within 15 years, AAA will be dead. AAA will not be AAA. It'll be NXT Mexico, and at some point, after WWE's had enough of it or TKO's had enough of it, it's not doing anything for them. They're going to kill it off, just like NXT UK. I
Yep.
100% see it. And if
Well,
I'm wrong in 15 years, I'll be wrong. But there's no other way I can see that. There's no other way AAA can get out of the deal.
right.
And
Now,
even if they wanted,
I think that's generous to give them 15 years, because I'm willing to say within the next 5 years, TNA will be rebranded as like NXT something, and AAA would be NXT Mexico. Like everything is going to come out, and it's all theories at this point, and so we have no proof to back it up. But you can look at the 60-year history of the fucking company to see how they make these step. Nick fucking Khan learned the business from Vince McMahon, and so these people like to say, well, this isn't Vince's regime anymore. Yeah, the person who took over learned under him, so it essentially is Vince's regime. And it wouldn't surprise me, because uh, I don't think people realize this. Vince McMahon is still a stakeholder in TKO. He still owns a very good portion of shares. He's sold enough to no longer be majority owner, but he still owns a lot of shares. And so, a news fact, Vince McMahon still has a little bit of pull in that company. And it wouldn't surprise me if at some point in the near future he makes a return to the company, because again, they've already shown that they're okay showing Brock Lesnar on TV. Why wouldn't they bring Vince back? The only reason Vince left in the first place was because Slim Jim pulled out their sponsorship. If the sponsors are okay with Brock being on TV, then I'm sure they'll be okay with Vince being back in the business. So Vince shows up one day.
oh
What
yeah, I won't be surprised. Can you pull up that most recent comment right there? It says the man who had a 2-hour crying, moaning, bitching session about the IWC and AEW fans. An entire show dedicated to that, just like this entire show dedicated to whatever we feel about the WWE situation. So, I mean, you can play that game, and you've done the same exact thing, man. So it's no different. But yeah, I truly think that's kind of exactly what it's doing. Is it's taking over the Mexican scene. It wouldn't surprise me if they bought a Japan promotion, whether All Japan Pro Wrestling or
It's going to be Pro Wrestling Noah.
yeah.
They've already had
They've worked
Omos.
with them, yeah.
They've already had Omos over there. It's either that or who Rossi owns what's it called? He left Stardom and created his own company. I can't remember. Marigold, I think.
Yes,
It'll
Marigold. That's
yeah.
it.
So it'll be one of those companies that they'll work with and then secretly somehow buy, and NXT Japan will be built. I like this comment that our good friend Claude Felter put in here. This makes a lot of sense. WWE has become a PLE program. I hadn't watched in depth SmackDown or Raw for months before SummerSlam. And I didn't go perfect on my predictions, but I went 50%. And I hadn't watched. Like, I do better predicting WWE shows than I do AEW shows because
I feel the same way.
because and I watch AEW all the freaking time. So yeah. I mean,
Although I don't think the predictions have been updated since SummerSlam, so I don't know how well exactly I did, but um, I do know that I was very, very upset with the fact that I was 5 for 5 on night 2 until Cody beat Cena, and then I was 5 for 6. So I was very upset about that. But I think I went 9-3 on the weekend, maybe 8-4. And that sometimes can be better than what I do with AEW. And like you, and same thing with you. I had not watched WWE from WrestleMania to SummerSlam. Very little highlights on social media. I didn't really read any Raw or SmackDown or NXT reviews. Not that NXT really had anything really to do with SummerSlam, but still. Um, all it took was for me making my predictions to read one Raw review, and it was the Raw before SummerSlam. And I literally read what happened in the show, and that's all I needed to know. Usually, when the baby faces are on top, the heels are going to win. If the heels are on top, the baby faces are going to win. Sometimes you can mix it up a little bit, but that's how I base my predictions off of. Who stood tall, who got attacked, who had the better segment, who had the last word, and that's generally how I picked. It wasn't perfect, but WWE has that formula of pretty much the same thing over and over and over again. And it makes it just easier to predict.
Right.
And yes, they do a decent job with their vignettes and promos to catch you up to speed, but there's not much to catch up on when
half your show is commercials.
Yeah, that's true. But I feel it's easier to predict WWE shows than it is AEW shows.
No, absolutely. Let's put it this way, though, because
maybe I'm just not looking at it right.
Let's put it this way, though, because we are, I don't know, 3 weeks away from Forbidden Door, and we have like 3 matches are already scheduled, and there's been a lot of criticism on the matches because there's no Forbidden Door, there's no New Japan people announced. Again, it's going to be tough because New Japan's running G1 Climax at the same time to get people to come over, and so it's like they're not building, because this is the one-off pay-per-view where it's just a bunch of like one-off matches that stories don't really have to play. It's hard to predict those for AEW, but that's what the fans of AEW love, is having the opportunity to see Athena fight Toni Storm. And there's a little bit of story and background in that match, but like I'm sure at some point we'll get like Tanahashi, I think, is having his final match in England at Forbidden Door, so he'll fight some dude that he hasn't even built a storyline around because it's a dream match and it's his final match in England. So the wrestling, like the people that really love wrestling really love Forbidden Door, because you get the wrestling, you get your money's worth for the show. I don't know, it's just, you have to pay attention to every ounce of AEW, and I think maybe that just defines the fans of WWE, and maybe it makes sense why they joined ESPN and joined in with Disney, because the fans love the soap opera, they love the Disney on Ice, and now you can legitimately put WWE on Ice and it be Disney on Ice, because they're partnered with Disney anyways. The AEW fans, the core fans, they want the action, and at the end of the day, I think the numbers are going to show, because Collision on Saturday was one of the better numbers. Collision was on Thursday this past week. Really good number, like almost 500,000 for Collision, which is unheard of for Collision. Like, they had a really good number on Collision last week. They had a really good number for Dynamite yesterday, which I finally saw the quarterlies. Their lowest quarterly number was like 600 something thousand. Their highest quarterly, guess what, was the women's segment. So for all of those fucking people that say women's wrestling doesn't sell, and AEW it does, and that's why we get so mad that Tony Khan doesn't use more of the women, because the fans love the women's wrestling in AEW. And so I'm gonna tell you this: AEW is on the up and up, and the fans can sit there and say that they're not. But WWE is just kind of stagnant right now. And it wouldn't surprise me if that number on Monday for Netflix for last week's episode, for this past Monday's episode, when it comes out over the 7-day period, if they had a significant drop in viewership, because they've done a lot of things. They've done a lot of things in the past couple days and weeks. Not even to mention the whole Karrion Kross situation and the Brock Lesnar situation and all of the other stuff that we hadn't gotten to. The fans are like, at some point in time, I don't know what it's going to be. There's going to be something, and I think for some it was the Brock Lesnar situation, where it's just like, all right, that's the straw that broke the camel's back. I'm done watching this shit. I'm done supporting just this terrible stuff, this terrible company. Let me give AEW a try. There were so many people that I interacted with that were WWE only supporters that watched AEW on Wednesday, and I interacted with them on social media, and they love it. And what was good is AEW knew that they were going to have this opportunity. I'm sure they did, because Tony Khan lives on social media. He knows the landscape. He had a perfect opportunity to say, I know we're going to have a big audience of people that used to watch WWE. Let me load my card up with all the former WWE guys. And he didn't do that. He let AEW prove its worth to people who have no idea what's going on. And it's obviously they didn't lose viewership over, through the quarterlies. They proved that AEW really is where the best wrestle, and that they do have entertaining product. And all I can expect is that the numbers continue to go up.
I don't even hope it. I mean, would I like the numbers to go up? Yes, but I mean, at this point, I just want the numbers to be as stable as possible. And if that means a 2% increase, 1% increase every week or so, that'd be great. Just continue doing what they're doing, man. The past year of TV for AEW to me has been their best TV that they've done. It's been the most engaging that they've been. It's been the most in tune that they've been, I think.
Right.
They just need to stay the course. And I love the fact that the IWC thing, trying to distract, I don't know if it's trying to distract the bad PR from WWE, but the whole Hurt Syndicate thing,
right.
And literally there was a AEW backstage guy filming Speedball Bailey's vlog, and him and the Hurt Syndicate having their little FU thing. And it's like, that's gold. That's perfect.
Right.
That's just to show that whatever you're trying to do, they're countering it, because it's not true.
Well, it's like that story comes out, and Alvarez made a good point, because even during the CM Punk thing, like it didn't come out until Tempers flew that CM Punk and Jack Perry had. It was Jack Perry CM Punk had beef with until the brawl out happened. Usually these stories aren't that specific as to say this person has beef with this person. So the fact that this case was like, it's a little fishy that somebody said. And then you have the other report saying that AEW's locker room is the most in sync that it's ever been. So like, which one is it? Is there obviously there's there's people at every job that you may not stand, but like there's cohesion there. And then the fact that the story said that the Hurt Syndicate didn't want to lose to FTR, and yet FTR is in the finals of the fucking tournament, and most likely will beat Brodito, and most likely FTR will beat the Hurt Syndicate at Forbidden Door. So, I mean, it's like, come on, guys, we can read right through the bullshit right now. But I don't know. There's a lot that we could continue to talk about, but I feel like we made our point. Any last comments before we log off for tonight?
Bring up that last comment. Says the company that had Sami Zayn and CM Punk in it.
Mm-hmm.
Just for starters. That's about as all it needs to be said right there. So do with that what you will. No, that's pretty much all I got.
Alrighty, y'all. Tune in on Saturday for the solo episode. That I don't know if it'll be solo. I may have a guest joining this week. I have to confirm if they will be able to do it on Saturday. But regardless, I'm going to talk a little bit about Brock Lesnar and why, not necessarily from a wrestling perspective, but from a business perspective. It wasn't the smartest move to bring him back. But we'll talk about that on Saturday. I appreciate all of our partners and sponsors, W Energy, WWE Shop, StubHub, and RSS.com. All the links will be in the description. Check out junkyardmediagroup.com. Hit join the RWC and join our Discord group there. The Discord link will also be in the description. And like we always do, I'm going to turn it over to my boy, Cody Marinera, to say the final words.
You call this episode The Meltdown, and that's kind of what it did. That's kind of what it became, and that's okay. Every now and then you have to have some episodes like this. I feel like we don't do a lot of them, so they're warranted when they come. But the sauce was boiling tonight, and fun show, fun episode, and we'll see what else transpires over the next week as we start getting towards the fall season. Kind of can't wait for it to get colder and stay cooler. It's supposed to warm back up, so have fun with that down here and elsewhere that may be warming up as well. But hopefully you guys this weekend and all the way up until next Thursday, enjoy your favorite type of meal, whether it be a spaghetti and meatballs with some marinara sauce or bolognese, whether it be Alfredo sauce with some chicken Alfredo, whether you dip something in sauce, whatever the case may be. I just want to make sure that you guys stay saucy, friends.
Absolutely. We'll see y'all next week. And remember, enjoy your favorite wrestling. Beyond